And welcome to the presentation on dynamics of machinery, unit number 1, single degree of freedom systems. So now we will see the damped free vibration. In that case we will see the different types of damping, viscous damping, and we will discuss a particular case of over damped under the viscous damping. So damping is nothing but an external resistance to minimize the vibrations. It absorbs the energy and reduce the amplitude of vibrations. So most important thing to be studied in this particular damped vibration is the frequency of damped vibration and the rate of decay of amplitudes. As you can see in this particular diagram, this particular amplitude goes on decreasing. So what is the rate of decay of amplitude that you have to study in this particular damped vibration. So basically there are three types of damping we can discuss. One is the viscous damping, another is Coulomb damping or dry friction damping, and the third is called as material, solid, structural or hysteresis damping. So let us see now first the viscous damping. So this will be applicable in case of air. It means if any pendulum is rotating in air, so it is going to have its motion stopped after some time because there is a resistance provided to the particular pendulum in air. So it may be in a gas, or it may be in a water, or maybe in case of a oil. So this is the medium in which a particular body will vibrate, and slowly it becomes come to rest after some time because of the resistance provided by the air particles, gas particles, water or oil. So in general, the shear stress is given by mu into dV by dy, and this shear stress is nothing but equal to force upon area. So when a particular body is moving in a oil, so it will experience a shear stress into it. So there is a force upon area that is equal to mu into dV by dy. So how much is that force experienced by that body when it is moving in oil or water or any other viscous material? It is given by mu into a. Now this a is taken on the right hand side, so mu into a by dy into du. That is F is equal to c into x dot, because this du is nothing but equal to the velocity. It means you will find out that this particular force is proportional to the velocity, where this constant of proportionality is given as c, which depends on mu into a by y. So if I put the value of mu, that is nothing but the viscosity of that particular fluid. So and Newton second per meter square is the viscosity unit, area is in meter square, and y is the distance, so it is in meters. So you will find out this meters will get cancelled out, remaining is Newton second per meter. So that is nothing but called as the damping coefficient. Its unit is Newton per meter per second. It is nothing but the force per unit velocity. So from this expression itself, you will get an idea that this c is nothing but equal to force per unit velocity. So this damping resistance depends on the relative velocity of the vibrating body, then the viscosity of the fluid, and the dimensions of the damper. So on these three parameters this damping resistance depends. For example, the fluid dashpot damping or eddy current damping are the cases of viscous damping. About the Coulomb damping or dry friction damping. So generally when there is a contact between the two surfaces, and there is a relative motion between these two surfaces, it means one surface slides over to each other. In that case, there is a friction between these two components. Like if it is a surface, on this surface there is a particular block mounted here, and if I am trying to move this block towards right by applying certain force, so because of its weight there is a normal direction offered over here, and this force which I have to apply to make this body to move from its position, that depends on mu into Rn, that means coefficient of friction between these two surfaces and the normal direction of it. So generally it is observed that when the velocity of moving this particular body, relative motion between the two bodies will increase, the coefficient of friction will decrease, and after some time it will be maintained constant. This will be for the rough surfaces, and if the surface is smooth, it will be throughout, it will be constant even though whatever may be the velocity. So in short, the damping resistance is constant and it is independent of the velocity in case of Coulomb damping or dry friction damping. So the differential equation of motion in case of Coulomb attraction damping will be m into x double dot plus k into x is equal to plus minus f is equal to 0. So this is nothing but the force is required to move over here. In detail, we are going to study this Coulomb damping and attraction damping in the further part of this particular further part of the presentations. So third type of damping is the material, solid or structural and hysteresis damping. So in this case, this damping is due to the internal friction of the molecules in the material. So let us discuss first of all in detail the what is meant by viscous damping and how you are going to get the equation of motion for the viscous damping and the solution of this particular viscous damping. So let us consider here that this is some mass, okay, and the spring and the damper is attached with this particular mass. So damping coefficient is C specified here and stiffness K is specified here, and this is the M mass M, and it is now initially at the mean position. Now as you displace this particular mass, so it will start vibrating. Suppose if I am going to displace it in the downward direction by a distance x, so it will be having the velocity x dot and it will have the acceleration x double dot. Okay, now here I am using these notations like I am specifying here. The m is the mass of the body in kg, k is the stiffness of the body in Newton per meter, c is the damping coefficient in Newton second per meter, x is displacement, x dot is velocity, and x double dot is the acceleration and the corresponding units of this. So now when I displace this block in the downward direction, definitely it will try to regain its original position in the upward direction. So this is nothing but the inertia force which will cause it to move back to its original position. So that is in the acting in the upward direction. As displacement x is in the diagonal direction, inertia force will be in the opposite direction, that is given by m into x double dot. So exactly it is opposite to the motion of the body. Now there is a spring force. As the spring is under tension, so opposite force, upward force will be there, that is nothing but a spring force, and also an upward force, that is C into x dot, will be a damping force, because spring and this damper will be under tension, so opposite reactions will be acting over this particular mass which will act in the upward direction. So here you will find out that this k into x will act in upward direction, c into x dot will also act in upward direction, and m into x dot that also acts in the upward direction. Now we know that the mg, that is mass into gravitational acceleration, that is equal to delta into delta x. So gravitational force is not considered over here because we know that it is getting cancelled out. We have seen in the previous case also. So let us use the D'Alembert principle. According to the D'Alembert principle, the sum of inertia force plus external forces will be equal to 0. So I will find out here these are the external forces and this is the inertia force. So I have to make the sum of these three forces. So I will get the equation as m into x double dot plus c into x dot plus kx is equal to 0. So this is nothing but called as the equation of single degree of freedom system having damped free vibrations. So because of damping, this additional term is there. Previously there was only these two terms, mx double dot and kx. Now additional term is cx dot is added here, so it becomes a damped free vibrations. Now we will see how we can solve this particular differential equation. So as there are two terms here, x double dot and x dot, and this is nothing but a displacement x. Okay, so we have to assume the solution of this differential equation as x. Let us consider that x is equal to e raised to st, because we know that this particular system will be vibrating and it will have exponential decay. Okay, so therefore we are assuming that the solution of this differential equation, that is nothing but a displacement of this particular mass, will be equal to e raised to st, means it is an assumption of exponential decay of amplitude. So accordingly the velocity x dot will be the derivative of this particular e raised to st. It will be s into e raised to st, and the x double dot means again the derivative of velocity, that is acceleration, will be equal to s square into e raised to st. So if I put all these values of x, x dot and x double dot into this particular equation, so I will get a equation in the modified form. So in this case, let us understand that s is nothing but the constants to be determined. So this is the constant that you have to determine. This is unknown here to get the solution of it, and t is the time in seconds. Okay, and e is nothing but the base of natural logarithm, that is generally its value is 2.178. And since we are having this particular graph here, so your displacement amplitude will goes on decreasing with respect to time here. Okay, and this response will be different for different amplitude of or different value of the damping provided in the system. Okay, so this here assume, because the exponential decay is there, therefore I assume this x is equal to e raised to st. So now let us put these values of x, x dot and x double dot into the equation A. So you will get x double dot value is s square e raised to st, so I am putting this m into s square e raised to st. Similarly, x dot value is s into e raised to st and x value is e raised to st. So definitely e raised to st is common in all these cases, so it can be removed and move towards right side multiplied with the 0. So remaining term is ems square plus cs plus k. So now you will find out that by doing this substitution, your differential equation becomes converted into an algebraic equation. So this is nothing but called as the characteristic equation of damped free vibration. So once you have got the algebraic equation, now you can find out the roots of this equation. That is nothing but to get the value of this s. So since it is a quadratic equation, so there will be two roots. Since it is s square is there, so there will be two roots, s1 and s2. So we are using the, suppose if I write this equation as ax square plus bx plus c, so in that case we find out the roots of this equation by using minus b plus minus in under root b square minus 4ac upon twice a. So minus b, it means in this case b is nothing but the c, so minus c plus minus in under root b square, that means c square minus 4ac, so 4a is m and c is k, so 4mk upon twice m. So once I get this, now I will just try to separate these two terms. S1 S2 will be equal to minus c by 2m, we are just divided here, plus minus in under root c by 2m bracket square plus minus k by m. So this is what we are going to get the simplification of this root. So separately we can write the S1 as we'll take once plus sign and afterwards it is a minus sign here. So minus c by 2m plus in under root c by 2m bracket square minus k by m, and S2 is equal to minus c by 2m minus in under root c by 2m bracket square minus k by m. Okay, so we have got the roots of this equation. So once we get the roots of equation, generally whenever we solve the linear differential equation with constant coefficients, so we write the first of all this in the solution as a complementary function. So any differential equation which is having some constant on the right hand side, it will be having particular integral also, but in this case we are having the equation mx double dot plus cx dot plus kx is equal to 0. So only left hand side is having some terms, there is no right hand side terms over there, so it will be having only complementary function, and therefore that complementary function is given by c1 e raised to m1 of x plus c2 e raised to m2 of x, like this. So it means m1 m2 are nothing but the roots of that equation, like you may be using any other notation. So in this case the roots of equations are x1 and s1 and s2. So we are writing this complementary function x is equal to c1 e raised to s1 of t plus c2 e raised to s2 of t. Okay, so this is nothing but the general solution that you have obtained. Now if I put the value of s1 and s2 over here, that is the solution, but still we need these values of the arbitrary constants which are to be determined by using the initial conditions. Okay, so now let us understand how we can find out this value of c1 and c2. So it depends upon the what kind of roots actually you are getting over here, s1 and s2. So if these two roots are equal, then the motion is aperiodic. It means you will have this displacement like this and it will be going towards 0. And if the two roots are different and if they are present, then the response of the system is like this, that is the motion becomes aperiodic. Motion becomes a periodic one. It is periodically it will be repeating like this. So what kind of roots are there, depending upon that the situation will occur. So to find out those c1 and c2, first let us define some important terms so that we can understand the meaning of this particular behavior of this particular system, because as sometimes the behavior may be like this, or maybe sometimes the behavior will be periodic and aperiodic. So to understand this, let us understand few additional terms. So first of all, to achieve the aperiodic motion, two roots must be equal, and this is possible only when the expression within radical sign is 0. So this value of damping coefficient corresponding to this condition is called critical damping coefficient. It means we can see here that in the under root sign there is a c by 2m bracket square minus k by m. This term is there. So if this term is 0, okay, then you will find out that the two roots will be equal. Okay, this is the condition for that, and by using this same condition we can find out the critical damping coefficient. So if I make it 0, definitely this c by 2m bracket square will be equal to k by m, and again if I go on finding this c by 2m values, it will becomes under root of k by m, and under root of k by m is nothing but equal to omega n, that is natural frequency. Okay, and now from here I will get the cc value. So cc will be equal to 2m omega n. So when you are equating this under roots equal to 0, in that case we are writing this c as a cc. That means here that critical damping coefficient will be there. So this critical damping coefficient is given by 2m omega n. So or cc will be equal to 2m omega n. I can put it as under root of k by m. So if I remove this m from here, I will get 2 in under root km, or I can write cc is equal to 2 in under root km here. So hence this cc depends only on k and m. So that we will come to know that the damping coefficient, means critical damping coefficient, depends on the stiffness and the mass only. Okay, so we'll stop here. So we'll see in the next presentation the damping factor or the damping ratio.